Hello there, my name is Tim from Signage Live, and today with me we have Kathy Reed from Flight Centre, who is the Internal Communications Manager, and we also have Lorna Campbell from Screenfeed Business Development Director. Lorna, Kathy, thank you very much for joining.
All right,
Thanks for
thanks for
having
having
us.
me.
Appreciate you taking some time. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the digital signage infrastructure we built for Flight Centre and the different kind of departments that we took up to make sure that was fully functional for what you're looking to do. Kathy, would you be able to start off with just giving us a bit of an introduction to Flight Centre itself, what its main purpose is and what its function is?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Actually, the main reason we went down this route is because that we were moving to a new head office, a snazzy new head office behind me. We had been in our previous head office in London for about 20 years. It was very dated, it was very tired, and so the business decided to invest in a new swanky head office, and alongside that came some new swanky technology. We are predominantly support services based in this office, but obviously our company is a multinational billion-dollar travel company. So we wanted to reflect that. We wanted our office to be impressive and reflective of our modern business.
Perfect. And your role within the company, what is it that you tend to spend most of your time doing? Is there a major focus that you have, or is it what comes up next?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the internal comms leader for our UK and European business. We manage communications from day to day, customer impacting issues that could be happening in the travel industry, right through to helping senior leaders with events, and then producing content on behalf of those senior leaders to, bring our strategy out to our people and, share our core messaging. And that's key to absolutely our use of Signage Live and the screens that we've got in our head office.
Perfect. And you mentioning that obviously this is quite a large outlet where all this communication is going. How many individuals are actually managing this content at the moment?
In terms of managing the content that's going out, there's a small team of fast-paced internal comms managers in our business. So there's only 3 of us, but there's several hundred people that are seeing our content on our Signage Live screens.
Perfect. Okay, great. And why did you start looking at, just the concept of digital signage as a whole? Was there a particular driver for that?
There was actually. So we have had, I guess you could call it digital screens in the past in our old shabby offices, and it was a USB dongle shoved in the side of a TV screen and with a PowerPoint scrolling on it continuously with the same message forever. Yes, we have had that for a while. We knew though that coming to this office, we wanted to install something that was accessible remotely, that multiple people could have access to, and potentially that we could then scale up to include in other offices and regions around our business. So we've known about it for a while. We knew the downsides though of having some of that old tech, and so we really wanted to modernize our comms channels.
Perfect. That's really insightful. Thank you. One of the things I think I understand is how you came about Signage Live and Screenfeed in general. Could you talk a bit about that in more detail?
Yeah, it was very simple, to be honest. And when we were going through the redesign of our new office, it was recommended to us. Obviously, we did some due diligence, but it's always really good to get recommendations. And our building contractors actually had Signage Live. We visited their office, we saw it, and we were sold.
Perfect. Excellent. Nice and simple then in that case. And when you were looking at Screenfeed, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you attended a webinar at some point in the past as well. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So we were quite early on in our journey, really, and we were introduced to Screenfeed. And because we're a small team and we expected the bulk of the work to sit with us in terms of updating the screens, we needed to be realistic about how much we could do. And so as soon as we were introduced and we understood the capabilities, again, we were sold. We just don't have the manpower to be able to update certain things as frequently as we would want to. And so being able to have dynamic content on there is just amazing. But also the team have created some really snazzy content on there for us that's running off RSS feeds from our local train station, from the tube services in London. So it's just getting really accurate data to the people in this building that are going to look at it and use it.
You made some really good points there, because I think that's something that some people often trip over on when they look at digital signage, is they spend huge amounts of their time looking at what hardware, what software, getting to that point, and they finally get these kind of big blank screens on the wall and they go, oh, what do we want to put on it? Or who's going to control that content delivery?
Yeah.
I think that's a point where obviously, Lorna, you come into that mix in terms of screen feed and what was looking at. So do you want to walk quickly through screen feed and what portion of that kind of came up from Flight Center?
Absolutely, yes. Kathy sent us an email after the webinar and was explaining her head office and kind of the plans that they had. And she had a lot of great ideas when it came to the content that we actually decided on, like she mentioned earlier, was the tube statuses, the Wimbledon station departures, and an employee anniversary appreciation app. So that's what came out of some of those conversations. And I think, Kathy, I'll let you speak for yourself, but the goal was to have everybody have a really good experience at the office, have relevant information at the office, feel appreciated at the office. And so that's what the content was centered around. And that's where our team came in to connect some of those dynamic data sources. And like Kathy said, have them be created with our design team and then have them be updating automatically. I think the train station app and the tube status app updates every 15 minutes. And then of course the employee anniversary app updates monthly when the next month of employee anniversaries come around. So that was our involvement with her project.
Perfect. Kathy, do you have anything to add just in terms of those wants and needs that you first had? It sounds like it's about automation, but just what benefit, I guess.
Very much about automation. Like I said, we are a small team. We had big aspirations, but we were resource constrained, and ScreenFeed's ability to just carry some of that load for us was massive. And also we need to justify the spend in terms of moving away from PowerPoint slides that never change on a screen. So we needed the content to change frequently in order to say, look, it works. And so this just does it for us without us having to put in that time and effort that to be honest, we just don't have. So we fill in areas around the things that ScreenFeed have given us, but we're reassured that we know that will always change and it will always be up to date and live for our people in the office.
That makes sense. And actually, I want to touch on that point a little bit because you mentioned that those elements. So ScreenFeed kind of comes in and takes a lot of that automation out of the way. So you've got fresh content all the time, but you're also peppering in your own communications as and when needed. Is that kind of in a rotation, or are you using a layout design? What was the plan around that?
Yes, we've spent about 45 minutes with one of your trainers, and that really helped us in terms of understanding the capabilities of the system. I think initially when we first started getting going, we put some really basic things on there, and they didn't change based on time or day or audience type. Actually, we've been able to now build out much more advanced kind of scheduling within our screens, so that Fruit Bowl Mondays, they're only advertised on Mondays. There's no point talking about it on a Wednesday.
Sure.
So yeah, it's just being able to be a little bit more clever. And also those schedules then, again, are just things that you can rely on. You can put it in, you can schedule it, and you don't have to think about it. So again, it's just making that a little bit more manageable for a small team.
Perfect. And one of the questions I had around that, because obviously you ended up going down this route with ScreenFeed and Signage Live, and hopefully you believe that's worked for you as a solution. I guess I should get that on record. Do you believe it's worked for you as a solution? Is probably the starting.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Good start. Was this where you started? Were you always going down that line of automatic content or low touch content?
No, not really. And I don't think that it was something that the decision makers in our procurement process had even kind of considered. And I think, to be honest, that we probably hadn't too much either. I think we were all just excited. Oh, this thing's coming. Oh, this is going to be brilliant. And it's an enormous screen and it looks really snazzy. And then the realities quickly come to fruition about, okay, actually, you've got to maintain that. And you can come up with all these wonderful ideas and schemes and ways of using it, but we are resource constrained. And it wasn't really actually until we had that introduction with ScreenFeed that we saw the power of it. And we were like, oh, we don't have to do this. Somebody else can do this for us. Another tool can step in. And we were very quickly able to justify that small additional cost to our leaders when we were able to show the demos of what this could do, what that meant for our people. Yeah, it came to light. It wasn't initially immediately obvious to us. But now that it's in, I don't think we would ever live without it.
That was actually a great lead on to my next question, which was what has the impact been like? Has there been any questions or responses or queries coming from the workforce there?
Yeah, absolutely. People love seeing their names up there for their length of service celebrations. We've had people come from other offices around Europe. We've got someone saying to me now, I want one of these, set me up in Germany. Okay, great. What about France? What about the Netherlands? So it's definitely going down really well. We have a lot of people that contact us that want kind of birthday shout outs. Because it's in an area that's like our community hub in our office, we've also found that now our supplier teams are organizing events, bringing suppliers into the office and using it as a content reel that we now upload a suite of supplier specific content, and we just run that throughout their events as well, which again just makes their lives loads easier, because otherwise there'd probably be someone stood up there with a PowerPoint and a clicker.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the thing actually we hear a lot is people start off with this kind of concept of where they want to start. It ends up getting sidetracked because they realize that these other tools available to make things much, much easier. And then you almost go full circle back around to people saying, oh, now that it's there and now that I can visualize it, because we're typically very visual people. And once we see something working and the value's been proven, you actually start to explore and expand on that in a little bit more detail. Was there any future plans? Though you mentioned, obviously, you're talking about the other sites saying that they'd recommend it. Is there anything in particular on your site that you're looking to expand, or are you looking more at just keeping it as that core focus?
So I think, to be honest, at the moment it seems to be more expanding sites that have it, so that we could expand our reach, which also helps us from a comms perspective, because we primarily use it as more of a cultural driver. It's about our people, it's about celebrating events and community, as opposed to property are going to do a fire alarm on Wednesday. It's not really about that. It's much more about celebrating our people. And I think people are seeing that now when they come and visit us from other offices. So yeah, we definitely want to expand into other countries. There's no more need for it. We don't need more screens in the one office, but we do need screens in other offices.
That's really fascinating, because I'm actually midway through writing a whole like 12 or 13 page article around workplace communications and how it's not focused on, it's not as much focused on the health and safety and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot about community building, especially with more people being hybrid working now. Is like we candidly, we have it in our office as well. There's some members of staff we've never seen in person, so we use our digital signage to put pictures up and say, this is who this person is and this is what they like and this is what their job role is. And you may never meet them, but it's just that connection that it really helps with. And I actually just did an interview the other day with a university hospital in America, exactly the same concept. They want to become less focused on what you consider more tangible and more focused on the human aspect, which I think is a really refreshing way of looking at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. So is there any specific improvements? I guess we've talked about this already in some extent, but is there any particular improvements that this is brought to light? Was there anything unexpected, or is it work just as it would do out of the tin?
I think it's a major jump for us, like I say, in terms of switching away from those sad old dongles in TV screens. And I think our people are probably surprised by it and find it helpful and useful. From our perspective, I think actually it's more about that automation that has come as a very pleasant surprise to us. But otherwise, it's working to a T, never any faults.
Perfect. That's excellent. Actually, one other thing I wanted to just tread on whilst we're on that subject is obviously from a Screenfeed perspective, Lorna, when you two connected, because I know Screenfeed offers several different solutions, whether that be infotainment or entertainment or those pieces, or then there's the new Connect piece. Was this kind of an out-of-the-box solution? Was it more custom hands-on? What was the workflow there?
Yeah, this was definitely custom content, which is really fun for our team always. And it is through, like you mentioned, our tool called Screenfeed Connect, which creates or allows a user or our team for a user to create dynamic data-driven HTML content. So that's exactly what we delivered to Kathy. And the value props that come with Connect and creating content through Connect are exactly what Kathy described. You don't have to be in that content every day, updating it yourself. You can plug in your data source and have that update automatically. Yes, this project was through Connect. It was custom. We utilized our design services as well for Kathy's team, and we did the data setup as well. So really it was hands off and hands on for us, which is always, we love that.
Yeah, it was perfect.
I was going to ask Kathy, from your perspective, obviously there is the option to go and build that content out yourself. You opted to go the other way. And as you said, I'm guessing that's because of the resource that you had available, and it's just easier to outsource and get the pros in, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Even if we were a team of 8, I don't think that we had the skill set to do
Mm.
it.
Mm.
So it was resource and skills 100%. And Lorna and the team, they just turned it around so quickly, and we were barely in the office and it was already telling our staff if their train was delayed and what the service was like on the tube. It was brilliant. It was really good.
Excellent. And you mentioned, because obviously some of these are train services, and that's pulling from an RSS feed, which is external, which is nice in one way because you literally don't have to even control the raw data. That's just coming in and feeding straight through. Is there anything from a Connect perspective that is your own data source?
The Google Sheets came from Kathy's side. So she provided us with, and she could have as easily plugged this in herself and set it up in Connect, but she provided us with the list of names and employee anniversary dates, and then that got plugged into Connect and it updates as the months go by.
And now that's in position, I'm assuming then, Kathy, you have access to that sheet so you can go and do your own amendments and changes as needed, if needed.
Yeah, and the good thing is that once you start talking about anniversary dates, they just keep going. We've only got to add new starters. So yeah, it's a really nice, easy solution for us.
Perfect. That's all the questions I had. I don't know if, Kathy, you have any particular final thoughts or anything you wanted to make sure we covered whilst we're on this call?
Yeah, I guess in terms of the best feedback that we've had so far. So one of our executive team came to us, in fact, just last week, and it is him that is driving the expansion. He's seen the content, he's seen what's going on up there, and it's him that wants it in Germany. And then that then leads to other conversations about, okay, we've got other European countries. Are we going Europe-wide? So absolutely, it's not been us pushing to get it into Germany. It's absolutely the other way around. They're loving what they're seeing, and they want to bring it to more people. They see the value in it.
And Kathy, I just want to, again, just thank you so much for your time. I think it's really insightful to get your feedback from a candid perspective on your experience. Yeah, thank you again.
No, absolutely not a problem at all. I was more than happy to do it. Working with you guys in terms of the training that you've offered us and the time that we've spent with your trainer. Marco, yes. Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. The place was full. We had 8 people in the room, all desperately trying to learn about it. And yeah, Lorna, honestly, your support has been so appreciated, and what you guys have done for us is the one thing that when everyone's sitting there, our community space, like I mentioned, is where the TV is, and we have a couple of terraces that sit either side, and of the end of the day you might choose to have a glass of wine, and so it's really important to know when your next train is. So those screens are very much appreciated. So yeah, thank you both. Honestly, very happy to participate in this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Yeah, we really appreciate it on our side as well. It's great for even my team. I'm going to share this with my team as well as our audience, and they're just going to love to hear your feedback. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.